Today's no good for going out. Did I say that yesterday as well? Why not keep me company for a while? There'll be plenty of time for work later. It's nearly time for afternoon tea. Today's no good for going out. Did I say that yesterday as well? It's nearly time for afternoon tea. Why not keep me company for a while? There'll be plenty of time for work later.
This is the headquarters of the Tenryo Commission.
A quick question. Do you know if anyone around here has been looking for him? For Kaidahara Kazuha, we mean.
Aha! So this is the renowned Mr. Kaidehara. I've heard a lot about you. It is an honor to finally meet you today.
You are too kind. We are currently investigating an assault and would appreciate any help you can offer.
Oh? You were targeted in an assault? Let me think. I can't seem to recall anything of immediate interest. Mr. Kaidehara is currently the talk of the town, so there are always a lot of people looking for him. To be honest with you, our detective agency has recently been receiving many inquiries from people wishing to obtain Mr. Kaidehara's personal information. Some of them were offering us millions of mora just to gather the information they want. If these were more legitimate commissions, Sango would have snapped them up in an instant.
Millions? Of mora? Whoa! Oh, wait, even at that price, you probably still shouldn't.
Please, accept my thanks for looking out for my
Of course. No matter what, we only take on legitimate cases. We don't make our money by revealing details of other people's day-to-day life just for the sake of it. Sorry, I got a little off topic. What I'm really trying to say is, it doesn't surprise me that a complete stranger is looking for Mr. Kaidehara. But I wouldn't know where to begin if we want to connect this with an assault.
Then let's put that connection aside for now. Have there been any other attacks or similar incidents recently that stand out as particularly unusual? The Tenryo Commission had very few leads. I thought you might have some information from different sources.
It's true that the commissioners aren't clued up about every little thing that goes on out in the streets. But typically, it's only the most trivial events that manage to escape their attention. If anyone had been out there attacking people, that would be assault, in which case the Tenryo Commission would absolutely get involved.
That does make sense. Uh-oh. Looks like the trail's already run cold.
I still find it difficult to believe that whoever attacked you hasn't been causing any trouble elsewhere. Few people possess your prowess in battle, so unless you were the first person he targeted, someone is certain to have been hurt by now. I am well aware of your talents. There is no need to be humble around me. In fact, I'm quite relieved that you were the one he targeted. It would cause me great grief to see someone become critically injured or lose their life because of me. For the poor victim, this would be a completely senseless crime.
Don't worry, we'll find him.
It seems you are every bit the selfless hero they make you out to be, Mr. Kaedehara. Surely this same concern for your fellow man is what drove you to fearlessly raise your blade against the almighty Shogun.
You flatter me. Truth be told, I don't know quite what came over me in that moment.
You are much too humble. Don't worry, I completely understand your concerns. I will try my best to gather whatever leads I can for you. Actually, there was one strange incident over the last few days. It doesn't involve an attack, though. Let me tell you about it just in case.
Sure. During times like this, the more information we have, the better.
All right then. Recently, 2 people went missing from the city at around the same time. One of them is a pretty well-known collector, surnamed Nagato. The other, Amenoma Yuya, is a samurai from the Amenoma clan.
Amenoma! Now there's a familiar name.
Right. Yuya is the nephew of Amenoma Togo, the owner of Amenoma Smithy. 2 grown men going missing at the same time. Their cases are likely connected, but I don't know much in the way of details. I recalled this because Amenoma Yuya is also an accomplished martial artist who is skilled with the blade. Perhaps he is the one you are looking for.
Understood, though it seems highly unlikely to me. I neither know this man, nor do I have any idea why he may wish to attack me.
Can't hurt. We never know what we might find out along the way.
Thank you, Ryuji. We'll start by making some inquiries at the Amenoma Smithy.
Sounds good. All the best with your investigation. I'll get moving shortly myself.
Okay. Unrelenting patience and the willpower to move mountains.
Ah, if it isn't Kaede Harakaza. What brings you here today?
You 2 know each other?
Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. Historically, there have always been deep links between the 2 clans. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited Mr. Amenoma to pay my respects. Let me quickly explain. The Raiden Gokaden was the collective term for the 5 most acclaimed bladesmithing arts in Inazuma. Techniques of blade making were personally bequeathed to the Raiden Gokaden by the almighty Shogun, and over time, further honed and enhanced by the most talented craftsmen. Unfortunately, a series of events led to the gradual decline of many clans in the bladesmithing trade. Today, only the Amenoma clan has kept its art alive.
So sad.
It is a great pity indeed. In the old days, we each had our specialties, and just as iron sharpens iron, so too did we learn much from each other. As an example, the Amenoma art strives to emulate the abiding patience and determination of water as it turns stone to sand. There is nothing mystical to our work. There is only practice, in and day out, until both body and mind have memorized the craft, turning each motion of every technique into an intrinsic part of the bladesmith's life. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan, I believe it's called the Ishin art.
That's right. Ishin art strives for complete harmony between blade and mind from the moment that forging begins. For only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings, and eventually become an extension of its wielder's will.
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades, but an Ishin blade chooses its owner. You are, without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Ishin blade. It gladdens my heart to see that although the Kaedehara clan has fallen on hard times, its ideals and virtues are alive and well.
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own personal sentiments, not by any noble aspirations on behalf of my clan. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit today is to gather some information on your missing nephew. We hope to assist with the investigation. It may turn out that this case is connected to another we are pursuing.
Ah, yes. My nephew. I reported the case to the Tenryo Commission, but I haven't heard anything back so far. He didn't say a word before he left, which is very unlike him. I'm still completely at a loss on what to make of it, but I've done what I can so far. Worrying is futile. All I can do now is wait for the news from the Tenryo Commission.
We heard that there was a collector involved in the disappearance too. Know anything about that?
Yes. On the morning that Yuya went missing, he gave me a very cryptic look and said that he was going to give me a great gift. I believe he went to collect the item from Mr. Nagato after that. The next thing I heard was that a fire had broken out at the warehouse. And yes, strange, isn't it? I wonder what could have caused it. Unfortunately, there was very little evidence left behind, so nobody knows what really happened.
Do you have any thoughts on what Yuya may have wanted to give you?
If I had to guess, it must have been some kind of rare weapon. He's never been particularly interested in blade forging, but has always had a fondness for blade testing. He is extraordinarily talented in martial arts.
Truth be told, we have some information that you may find to be objectionable. Based on the evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's profile.
What? No. Absolutely impossible. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal of calming his mind.
Is that so?
Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, it's that Yuya would never draw his blade without a very good reason. But, with that said, it's equally out of character for him to just disappear, with neither farewell nor fair warning. I also cannot know what course of action he might be capable of if coerced. Anyway, should you find him, please let me know as soon as possible.
Don't worry, you have our word.
Paimon doesn't think Yuya was the one who attacked us as well.
Yes. It sounds as if something happened when the two men met each other. Let's pay a visit to the Nagato household.
I'm very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay what we owe right now. My husband has gone missing, and I'm still trying to find him.
No, you misunderstand us. We are here to help with the investigation.
Ah, I see. I thought the debt collectors had come to visit again. I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state.
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. With this in mind, can we perhaps ask some questions about your family's current situation?
For example, Paimon's struggling to understand why a collector would be strapped for Mora.
That's a long story. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself, but seeing how enthusiastic and excited they made him, everything was fine when we first got married. But as time went by, things changed for the worse.
Oh, what happened?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more things. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. Just sat there staring at them like he was in a trance. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first. On the last day that I saw him, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, if he refused to sell his collectibles and pay off his debts, I would divorce him and take the children with me.
Whoa!
And that led to an argument.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man who likes to go with the flow. You must understand, I never would have dreamed of threatening him with divorce if the debts hadn't pushed our family to the brink. After I said those words, he froze and was silent for a long time. His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen to our family? Had I not indulged his bad habits, we wouldn't have found ourselves in such a predicament. And I also don't know if he had actually come to his senses, or if he was simply angry with me. The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and both he and the buyer had gone missing.
I see. I understand. Ame no Mayuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into an argument over the price, but my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries, so it's hard to imagine him getting into a fierce argument.
Maybe he was feeling the pressure from the debt?
I don't know. He just disappeared after the warehouse burned down. Perhaps he's too afraid to come home now that all his collectibles have been lost in the fire. Even though I'm still a little mad at him. We're a family, and I want us to face our family's crisis together. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know we can work things out.
Please don't get upset. There could be more to this situation than meets the eye. If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, it is quite unusual for this habit to change so drastically over a short period. But the information we gathered from the other side suggests Ame no Mayuya is also a mild-mannered man who would not be likely to start an argument. This situation is getting a little confusing.
A little confusing? More like completely mystifying.
Let's try a change of scenery and see if we can piece together what we've learned. Rest assured, we'll notify you if we find anything.
Thank you so much. I just want him to come home.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the sales meeting between the two men was somehow the catalyst for their disappearance. The fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, Paima was thinking that maybe someone accidentally knocked over an oil lamp and, nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
That is the most likely conclusion based on everything we know. What started as a disagreement over the price escalated and ultimately turned into a tragedy. However, in this case, only one of the parties would have started the fire. If this is indeed what happened, and the innocent man hasn't come forward yet, then it suggests they may have already lost their life. one fact that I keep coming back to is that Amenoma Yuya is polite and well-mannered. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the only one of them with the potential motive to disappear after the fire. The more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes. Right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no other details that we've learned seem to link the two events. Amenoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a practitioner of the blade testing.
Darn! We thought we could get two birds with one stone here, but at this rate, it's starting to look like a wild goose chase.
Let's keep going. Since we've come this far, if we can solve the case, both Mr. Amenoma and Mrs. Nagato will be able to get some closure.
Okay, but where should we go now?
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse. There's still a chance we may be able to find some shreds of evidence. Wait. I hear something ominous in the wind.
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you can hear. As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that vision thief at Beto's tournament, so...
Now I'm picking...
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now, but I can still sense the direction it left in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. The remnants of the Tatarigami. Indeed. But this unexpected spring of inauspicious energy may prove to be of benefit to our investigation. We should remain vigilant and approach slowly.
So it's an underground warehouse.
The force is definitely coming from down below. The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place, but the residue it left behind still hasn't dissipated completely. Judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude that the Tatarigami source resided here for a very long time.
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the warehouse by himself a lot.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that. From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys into violent monsters, but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could explain why he became an obsessive hoarder.
So what should we do now?
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside. If we don't open this door, we can move no closer to the truth. You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than this.
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse to rubble.
That was too scary! Paimon was...
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami energy's source left this. Two ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. I fear much misfortune has already befallen. Yes, let's go. If nothing else, it's vital that we find out where this Tatarigami energy is coming from. Quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around. From this point, the trail appears to split into two. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance. Quite possibly. Let's search the area.
Look at all those hilly turtles! They're acting really strangely.
Something seems to be drawing their attention. Let's take a closer look.
Be gone! Reese!
Surrendering the
Booba, get them! Booba, get them!
It's...
Ooh, look at this red stuff. What is it?
by the looks of it, a letter written on a piece of torn clothing. The ink is bone dry. Well, let's take a look. According to this letter, a conflict arose because Amenoma Yuya wanted to seize a blade belonging to Mr. Nagato. Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight.
So, where is he?
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this... Yes. Right now, we need to uncover some more important truths. If Amenoma Yuya is attacking other people indiscriminately...
Right, so let's get moving.
I wouldn't be surprised if he, too, fell prey to the influence of the Tatarigami. For a practitioner of the martial arts, the easiest desire to inflame would be their pursuit of further power and skill. All the clues that at first seemed disparate and disconnected, it seems that now we know the thread that runs between them. I have a hypothesis that, if it's correct, not only explains the series of events leading to the two men's disappearance, but also zeroes in on the attacker's identity.
Wait, you figured it out?
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish idea. On with the search. We must stay vigilant. He seems to have stayed here for a long time.
Why here? Is there anything special about this place?
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in time.
Show yourself! It's no use hiding anymore.
Kaede Harakazua. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is the same guy from before. What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly have against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. But what if instead of facing Amenoma Yuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light. Whoa! Surely you don't mean...
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects, then works to subtly affect any living organisms in its vicinity. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, or rather as a means to occupy Amenoma Yuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. Many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition. I was his pride and joy. In me, he placed all his hopes and dreams. As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan, you should be able to guess our greatest regret.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed.
At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft, and sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. He not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength, but also endowed me with a consciousness of my own. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world, but also an irreplaceable achievement in the art of blade forging.
So, swords can become conscious?
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to the distant land of Inazuma. I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power.
So Aminome Yuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? When they got tired, or injured, or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line.
You're awful!
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse. At long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. Kaede Harakazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. Now, give your body over to me!
Compared to the storms I've encountered out at sea, into the wind!
We shall rewrite history! Submit to me!
Don't be such a brute.
We shall rewrite history!
That hurt!
Rewrite history!
Wind Strider!
Join me and sever that divine light! Submit to me! Join me and sever that divine light!
As one with wind and cloud!
Rewrite history! Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too!
Your bluff's fooling no one!
Lost. I can never lose, even if you defeat me here. The one who falls will not be me, but this man. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take a new The end result is the same! I will. And even if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. By any means necessary, and any medium available, I shall return and fulfill my destiny!
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art. But from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Aminome Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles?
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this?
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art, even if you were to sever that divine light. Is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired? Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream, and the very purpose for which I was brought into being. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly. But you also underestimate my resolve.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedahara clan.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state.
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to his demand.
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Aminome Yuya from your control.
I accept.
Don't do this, Kazuha!
This is the only way to save Aminome Yuya. The cursed blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Aminome Yuya fell prey to it.
But even so...
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me. We have a chance to save an innocent victim. I am willing to accept the risks entailed.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. Now, take me in your hand.
Kazuha?
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but only for a moment. It's all right. So far, this was as I expected. I will. Thank you.
What should we do next? Have you got a plan, Kazuha?
We find some enemies. Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably hasn't experienced many real fights. If a blade built for Ishin art cannot enter a state of harmony between blade and bearer, it cannot unleash its true power. If he wants to avoid reality, then we need to fight until he has no choice but to face it.
Wait a minute! Paimon remembers hearing about something from the Adventurers Guild. Since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that secret base, it's been held by Ronin ever since.
All right. Please lead the way.
What about Aminome Yuya? What should we do with him?
The blade says he'll let Aminome Yuya trail us silently. Although he hasn't regained his own consciousness yet, he is not in any immediate danger.
Are we sure this is a good idea? Okay, fine. Just be careful.